The night was heavy with a sense of foreboding as I stood before the dilapidated movie theater, the arcane cinematheque. The rain drizzled down like a mournful symphony, punctuating the eerie silence that enveloped the decaying building. I couldn't believe I was actually here, about to step into a place rumored to be haunted, a place where shadows whispered secrets of the past. With a shaky breath, I pushed open the rusted door and stepped inside. The lobby felt like a time capsule from a forgotten era, with faded red carpets and vintage movie posters lining the walls. My heart raced, and I hesitated for a moment, but my curiosity spurred me forward. I made my way to a dusty podium, where a leather-bound guest book lay. The pages were filled with entries from those who had dared to enter before me, detailing eerie encounters and unexplainable phenomena. Ignoring the shivers that danced down my spine, I added my own name to the list of visitors. I continued deeper into the cinema, my footsteps echoing off the walls as I walked through the dimly lit corridors. The air grew colder, and a sense of unease settled over me like a heavy fog. The main screening hall beckoned, its red curtains like a veil between the ordinary world and the unknown. As I entered the hall, the lights dimmed to a faint glow, casting eerie shadows across the room. The screen stood before me, an empty canvas waiting to be filled with the mysteries of the past. With a mechanical whir, the projector came to life, and the screen flickered to reveal a black and white film. I leaned forward, my eyes fixed on the unfolding scenes. It was a vintage horror movie, one that I had never heard of before. The story was captivating, drawing me in as the characters faced supernatural forces and malevolent entities. The tension grew with each passing moment, and I found myself on the edge of my seat. Suddenly, a figure appeared on the screen, a woman with a hauntingly familiar face. Her eyes bore into mine, and a chill ran down my spine. It was as if she was looking directly at me, reaching through time and space. Her lips moved, whispering words that I couldn't quite make out. A shiver ran down my spine as I realized that the other seats in the theater were no longer empty. Spectral figures materialized, their features twisted in fear and despair. They stared at the screen with hollow eyes, their ghostly forms flickering in and out of existence. The woman on the screen continued to speak, her voice growing clearer with each passing moment. "Help us," she pleaded, her voice tinged with desperation. "Release us from this eternal torment." The room grew colder, and I could feel a palpable sense of dread settling in my chest. The figures in the seats turned their gaze toward me, their eyes piercing through the darkness. The whispers began to fill the air, a cacophony of voices from the past, pleading, begging for salvation. As the tension in the room reached its peak, the film on the screen came to a sudden halt, freezing on an image of the woman's face. The lights went out, plunging the theater into total darkness. Panic gripped me, and I fumbled for my phone, desperately trying to illuminate the room. In the dim glow of my phone's light, I saw movement. The woman from the screen stood before me, her ghostly form now solid and real. She reached out, her fingers brushing against my arm. I felt a surge of energy, memories flooding my mind. Her life, her tragic death, and the malevolent force that had trapped her and the other spirits here. The truth struck me like a bolt of lightning. The cinema itself was a prison, a place where lost souls were ensnared by an ancient curse. The woman's voice echoed in my mind, urging me to help them break free. With newfound determination, I reached out and took the woman's ethereal hand. The room seemed to pulse with energy as a blinding light enveloped us. When the light faded, we were standing outside the cinema, the rain now falling in a gentle drizzle. The woman smiled, her form becoming fainter by the second. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice carried away by the wind. "You've freed us." As her form dissolved into nothingness, a sense of peace washed over me. The weight of the curse had been lifted, and the haunted cinema was no more. But the memories of that night, of the whispers and the desperate faces, would stay with me forever. A reminder that the past is never truly gone, and that even in the darkest places, there is the potential for redemption. The rain cascaded down the windows of the old movie theater, its flickering neon sign barely illuminating the desolate street outside. I had always been intrigued by tales of haunted places, but I never imagined I would find myself standing before the eerie facade of the arcane cinematheque. The dilapidated building seemed to exude an unsettling aura, as if it held 1,000 untold stories within its decaying walls. Curiosity gnawed at me, overpowering any fear that might have crept in. With a deep breath, I pushed open the creaking door and stepped inside. The air was heavy and musty, carrying a scent of decades-old popcorn and faded memories. The interior was an odd juxtaposition of faded grandeur and haunting decay, as if time itself had forgotten this place. I walked through the dimly lit lobby, my footsteps echoing eerily against the faded red carpet. The walls were adorned with antique movie posters, their colors muted by the passage of time. I found myself drawn toward a worn, leather-bound guest book resting on a dusty podium. As I thumbed through its pages, I noticed a recurring theme: visitors detailing their experiences with the supernatural. Heart-pounding, I took a seat in one of the worn-out velvet chairs, my eyes fixated on the dusty red curtains that framed the entrance to the main screening hall. The door to the projection room stood slightly ajar, and an unsettling chill radiated from within. An uneasy feeling settled over me, but I couldn't bring myself to leave. It was as though the cinema itself beckoned me to unravel its secrets. As the clock struck midnight, the lights dimmed without warning, plunging the room into darkness. Panic welled up inside me, but before I could move, the curtains before me began to sway gently, as if caressed by an invisible breeze. The projector burst to life with a mechanical whir, casting an eerie glow across the room. The screen flickered to life, revealing black and white images of long-forgotten film reels. I strained to make out the images, my heart racing as I recognized the film playing. It was a vintage horror movie that was rumored to be cursed, a film that had led to the disappearance of its director and cast back in the 1950s. The images played out in a disjointed sequence, the characters seemingly stepping out of the screen and into the theater. I gasped as I saw figures materialize in the seats around me. Translucent, ghostly forms with hollow eyes fixed on the screen. Whispers filled the air, soft and distant at first, but growing steadily louder. The words were indistinct, a jumbled chorus of voices from the past. Fear and fascination held me captive as I watched the spectral audience react to the film as though they were living it. Their expressions twisted in terror, mirroring the scenes playing out before them. Suddenly, the figures turned their gaze from the screen to me. Their eyes, devoid of life, seemed to bore into my very soul. The whispers grew into a cacophony of voices, a symphony of anguish and torment that reverberated through the air. I clutched my ears, trying to block out the haunting sounds, but they penetrated every fiber of my being. The screen flickered, and the movie's final scene played out, a gruesome and nightmarish tableau that ended with a chilling scream. The theater fell into complete darkness once again, the whispers fading away as abruptly as they had come. My heart raced, and I struggled to catch my breath in the oppressive silence. As the lights slowly returned, the room appeared to be empty once more. The seats were devoid of any spectral presence, and the projection room door stood closed. I stumbled to my feet, my mind reeling from the encounter. Was it a hallucination, a trick of my imagination, or had I truly witnessed the restless spirits of those long gone? With trembling hands, I fled the cinema, my footsteps echoing loudly against the walls. The rain had ceased, and the neon sign outside flickered back to life, casting an eerie glow over the street. I didn't look back, but I knew that I had stumbled upon something beyond the realm of the living, a place where the past clung to the present, and where the line between reality and the supernatural had been irrevocably blurred. To this day, I can't shake the memory of that haunted cinema. The whispers continue to echo in my mind, a chilling reminder of the secrets that lie hidden within the decaying walls. The arcane cinematheque remains a place of mystery and dread, a testament to the power of the unknown and the darkness that can lurk within even the most innocuous of places. The old movie cinema stood at the heart of our small town, a relic of a bygone era. Its faded marquee and weathered facade held memories of countless film screenings and laughter that had long since turned to echoes. I had always been fascinated by the cinema's history and had heard rumors of strange occurrences within its walls, but I never gave much thought to those tales until that fateful night. It was a chilly autumn evening when a group of friends and I decided to explore the abandoned cinema. Our curiosity had gotten the better of us, and we were armed with flashlights and nervous laughter. The air inside was damp, and the scent of mildew hung heavy. The place seemed frozen in time, with tattered red velvet seats and peeling wallpaper that whispered secrets of the past. As we ventured deeper into the cinema, the atmosphere grew eerier. The beam of my flashlight danced along the rows of seats, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The silence was broken only by the soft shuffle of our footsteps and the distant hooting of an owl. We laughed nervously, our bravado masking the unease that began to settle upon us. Reaching the projection room, we found an old projector covered in a thin layer of dust. The room was cluttered with faded film reels and cobwebs, giving it an air of desolation. It was there that I found an old scrapbook, its pages yellowed with age. As I flipped through the pages, I discovered articles and photographs chronicling the cinema's glory days. Smiling faces adorned the pages, but their eyes seemed to follow me, as if begging to tell a story of their own. As we made our way back down to the main hall, a low, mournful hum echoed through the air. Goosebumps prickled on my skin, and my heart raced. I exchanged a nervous glance with my friends, their faces pale and eyes wide with fear. The hum grew louder, transforming into a haunting melody that seemed to emanate from every corner of the room. A flicker of movement caught my attention, and I turned my flashlight towards the screen. To my disbelief, the images of long-forgotten films began to dance upon the silver screen. Black and white scenes of joy and sorrow played out before us, as if the past was reawakening within the cinema's walls. We were frozen in place, unable to tear our eyes away from the spectral spectacle unfolding before us. Suddenly, the images shifted, and the screen was filled with faces of the people whose photographs I had seen in the scrapbook. They stared at us, their expressions a haunting mix of longing and despair. The melody grew louder, intertwining with anguished whispers that seemed to surround us. I could feel the weight of their stories pressing down on me, an overwhelming sense of sorrow and regret. One by one, the faces began to fade, replaced by a single figure, a woman in a flowing dress, her eyes pools of darkness. She reached out towards us, her fingers stretching through the screen as if yearning for something just beyond her grasp. Her voice, a hollow whisper, filled the air, weaving a tale of love and betrayal, of dreams unfulfilled and promises broken. The room seemed to close in around us, the air thick with a sense of foreboding. I could hear my friends whimpering beside me, their fear mirroring my own. The woman's voice grew more urgent, her anguish palpable. It was as if she was trapped within the confines of the cinema, her spirit unable to find rest. In a desperate bid to escape the growing terror, we turned and fled towards the exit. The corridor stretched endlessly before us, each step heavier than the last. The walls seemed to close in, and I could feel the woman's presence behind me, her whispers echoing in my ears. My heart pounded in my chest, and I could hardly breathe as the suffocating grip of the past tightened its hold. Just as I thought we were trapped forever, we burst through the doors and stumbled out into the cool night air. Gasping for breath, we collapsed on the pavement, the haunted cinema looming behind us. The melody and whispers faded into the distance, leaving us shaken and trembling. We never spoke of that night again, but the memories of the haunted cinema and the tormented spirit that dwelled within its walls would forever haunt my dreams. The experience had changed us, a constant reminder that the past could never truly be buried. that its echoes could reach out and touch us in the most chilling of ways. And so, the old movie cinema stood as a testament to the power of forgotten stories, waiting to share its secrets with anyone brave enough to venture into its haunted depths.